Hey everybody, welcome to the On Fire Show. This is your host, Daryl M.Brooks. And I have a very special guest, Sonja Schmidt. Thank you all but first of all, I just want to say thank you all for watching and participating in the last show. It was a great show with me and my man Maurice Delk out of Wisconsin. But yes, I have Sonja Schmidt out of California. She's coming on. Now, Sonja Schmidt has a show on Facebook Live too, and it's an awesome show. But she is going to come on. She's been on Fox News, MSNBC. She's been on ABC, NBC, CBS. She's a very great, talented sister out of California, and she's coming on to talk about some of the things that she's doing about her show. So, Sonja, I sent you the invite. You can come on. This is the On Fire Show with your host, Daryl M.Brooks. Hello out there. How y'all doing today? It is a hot day. It is hot. It is hot here in Philadelphia. So for those who are watching, I can thank you all for watching. Keep participating and keep supporting the On Fire Show. And also, Sonja Schmidt will be on the On Fire News Network. And we're pushing that, and we're pushing the On Fire News Network. She's going to be hosting a show, and I'm excited. And listen, it's a great thing that's happening here in Philadelphia. On Fire News Network, we're going to have different people from all over the South Jersey and also Philadelphia area watching the On Fire News Network, and it's going to be a great thing for independent and conservative thinkers, and we're going to have different great shows. So Sonja is coming on. Yes, I see her. You are approved to come on the On Fire Show. Boy, it's hot. Hey Sonja, how you doing?
I didn't realize I was on there. My hand is all in the way. I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I am so excited to have you on. You know, go ahead.
I'm excited to be on.
Oh, thank you. You know, I sent it out, and a lot of people were excited. And you know, it's excited to have you on because I remember you from Fox News. And yeah, I remember your face. I said, I know that sister. She's Fox News. So I Googled you and looked on your page. I said, yes, that's her. So I was telling some people.
That's me.
Yeah, a lot of people said they wanted to, you know, you got to have her on. You got to have her on. So I contacted you, and you know, I am so excited to have you on. Now, you have the Sonja Schmidt Show on Facebook Live, right?
I do. And I just started that about a couple of months ago. So for anybody who's watching it, please forgive me. I have a lot of missteps. I started doing the show just sitting on my couch. Not this couch. This is my daughter's house. All this hip, crazy artwork here. This is my daughter because I'm grandma right now. So I put the baby down and I said, I got to be on your show, even if I just have to like stay put in my daughter's house to do it. But so about 2.5 months ago, people kept asking me where I've been, what I'm doing, what's going on. So I'm like, I'm tired of answering this one by one.
Mm-hmm.
So I just sat on my couch in my living room and I said, you know what, I'm going to do this every day this week and see if I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do, I'll just keep doing a show. So now I'm doing a show once a week and I have all kinds of cool stuff going on and I interview people. It's kind of like, it's weird. It's not like any other conservative show I've seen. It's sort of like a late night talk show kind of thing where I have something to say. And then I bring in guests and I talk to them and I interview people. I like the long form interview so I can really get to know what's on people's minds. And it's, you know, I call it like a safe place for Christians and conservatives, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the topic always goes. So I just flow with it.
Yeah, I kind of started the same way. I was in a friend of mine's house and I was doing a Thanksgiving, sending out Thanksgiving messages to my friends and family on Facebook. And I was like, wow, I like this. You know, I used to do radio.
I like this.
Yeah, I like this. I used to do radio back in the 90s, mid-90s. So, you know, so tell us about some of the things you did in the past. Because, you know, in your bio, you know, you talked about, you was on Fox News, you was on NBC, Disney Channel, BET. Yeah. Tell us all about that.
Well, I mean, I'll go back even further than that. I was a single mom in the inner city. And I had 2 daughters and lived, talk about a background. I lived a liberal lifestyle, which put me in the position of having 2 children, 2 different baby daddies, no education, no future, no idea about what I was going to do, feeling entitled, feeling like the world owed me. And then I realized I have these two girls that I have to raise, and this cannot be their legacy. I cannot be their role model in this position. So I started to teach myself how to write for television. I literally, I mean, I was a dancer, but I was like, I can't do that and raise kids. So I literally had to figure out what I had the most experience with, what I had the most joy doing, what I got the most accolades doing, and it had to do with entertainment. So I literally taught myself to write television after putting the kids to bed. I mean, I don't think I slept for years because I was, you know, put them down. I got a couple hours of sleep. I taught myself to write television. And then I landed my first television job, and I worked in TV for over 22 years until they found out that here's the abrupt ending, until they found out I was a conservative. It was hard enough when, you know, I spoke out about Christianity, but I worked on a show, one of my last shows, they forbid us to say Merry Christmas on the show. And it was ugly in Hollywood. So, yeah, so after I came out as a conservative, it was pretty much Splitsville for my butt.
What year was
they,
this?
you know,
what are you talking about?
this was just before Obama became elected. This was the Bush years.
Okay.
And yeah, and I didn't even know that I was a conservative Republican at the time, just by working with all these liberals, and I'll call them liberals at that time, but working with them, what I saw and what I was watching in them, it's like, I don't know what I am, but I know that I'm not them. I know that I always loved America. I always loved the military and appreciated the military. There was just so many things that I was always grateful. I mean, listen, this is a job where we're sitting around all day. They're feeding us. We are cracking jokes all day. Somebody else is typing them up. We don't even have to go through typing. Somebody else is typing them up. And we open our paycheck. I just remember the first time I opened my paycheck, and I had a writing partner at the time. She was also a single parent from the inner city. We opened our paycheck, and when we can't believe what we just earned per week for doing nothing. At the time, I was on In Living Color.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, and it was a great show. It was a great show, and I always call it writing boot camp because we had to write so many sketches for all of the different characters. People always ask, did you, which character did you have to be able to write for all of them. And it was pretty much my first gig. And yeah, I hung there until it was over. I came in later, but I hung till it was over. And then I stayed in the business for over 22 years. I did everything from sitcoms to sketch comedy to late night joke writing, animation. I sold a movie. It kept going. I mean, I was the golden girl until they found out that I like Bush.
Oh, wow.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah, it got ugly. It got ugly.
So you're saying it got ugly. How ugly? I mean, how ugly did it get? I mean, was it something that you said on television? Was it something that someone wrote about?
No, I was in the writer's room.
You was in the writer's room?
I was in the writer's room. I was in the writer's room. I hadn't done anything with politics. Like I said, I didn't even know what I was or who I was. This was just me going to work. This is just me going to work.
Was it like a domino effect?
Oh, it was, I would say it's an avalanche effect because it happened immediately. You know how you can't get out of the way of an avalanche? This is, and all I say, because they were publicly, every day they talk politics. So I just kept my mouth shut because I'm going through a self-discovery. I'm watching them. There's a lot going on. So I really didn't say anything right away. I'm not a militant Republican or anything at the time. I hadn't even registered Republican, but I heard, and then one day they were talking about Bush in such hateful terms. And I heard them talk about Reagan. He had died, and they were talking about him in such god-awful terms. And I said, gee, this is what I said, quote unquote. I said, gee, not everybody feels the way you do. And all hell broke loose. From then on, they would not take any of my jokes in the writer's room. Nothing I said got in the scripts. They ripped up my script that I wrote, and it was they assigned it to another writer. They basically, I'd been doing this for 20 years, and now all of a sudden, I'm no good at this anymore. They would, this is all in my book called Left It. If you go to left-it.net, you can sign up, you can subscribe for my book because I write about all this in my book. We all used to go to lunch together until they found out I was not on the left. Then they would walk around and pass my office and go to lunch without me just to prove, just to be mean.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awful. I couldn't get work. I haven't worked since. I haven't worked. So I finally had to take an early retirement because I'm like, so after, at the same time I was writing a book for kids because my last few years I was working in children's television and I was hearing more and more about this global warming thing. And I'm like, this don't make no sense. So I figured if anybody could explain this to kids, and I really have a stick in my butt about people lying to kids. I really don't like it. So I said, if anybody could explain this to kids, I can. And it took me about a year and a half to research everything and figure out everything that I wanted to put in the book. But I knew that I kept it quiet. I did not let anybody know in Hollywood because I was writing it at the same time that I'd come out, and I knew that I was going to get fired anyhow. So I finished my book and I came out publicly. That's when I started working for Fox. I'd gone on about my book, and then they asked me to be a semi-regular on Fox and Friends, and I became a Tea Party patriot, and I worked for PJTV, and because I was kicked out of Hollywood.
Yeah, because a lot of us, were watching, and I sent them your picture, and they remember you, and and I said, yeah, she was on Fox News. I remember, as you say, you, Denise, Borelli. This was starting. Right. Yeah, this was starting during the Tea Party movement.
So
yeah,
and there's a handful of us then, but now look at us.
Yeah, and it's awesome. So you talked a little about over the phone a couple of days ago, I believe, about Fox News and what was that like, in the beginning, and how come you kind of left Fox News?
I didn't really leave anything. I just had a lot of life stuff. What do they say? Life was in session. Mm-hmm. I was getting a divorce. There was a lot of stuff happening, and I had to get my act together. Mm-hmm. And, I was dealing with all kinds of things. And when Obama was elected again, mm-hmm. and I had risked so much, I'd lost my job, I lost my income. And I explained to you what that income was like, open it up. Yeah. So I went from that to zero. I had an accountant who robbed me blind. And I don't know that it had anything to do with politics or if he was just a crook, but he let me know that I had zero in the bank. So I'm starting from scratch. I'm getting a divorce and all that. So I said, you know what? I can't do no more. Mm-hmm. So after Obama was elected, I was sort of mad at America. And I was like, you know what? There's nothing guaranteeing us being a superpower. We should be, by all rights, we should be, and we have God on our side. But it's our choices on where we go with this thing. And from what I saw, and I just couldn't explain, how could you vote this guy in a second term with all of that's been exposed? How could that happen? And my mother used to always say about people when I was young. I remember my mother saying, some people can't be helped. I was like, that's where I was. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? Some people can't be helped. I've already lost. So I backed out. I got a divorce. I changed my lifestyle, and I went back to school for interior design.
Oh, wow. So so you're saying now the Sonja Schmidt show has just been on a few months. So where are you planning on taking the show? I mean, I see you're excited about it. I see you have a refreshness about yourself, and you're excited, and you're thinking about some of these amazing ideas that you were talking about. Where do you plan on taking the show?
I don't know. If you'd like to tell me where I should,
now you're on Fire News Network, which is Philadelphia and South Jersey.
So that's right.
Yeah, so people can watch you on on Fire News Network. And that's one of the things that, we're doing. We're connecting people from all over the country with this website, and to come, independent, conservative thinkers, Christian thinkers, the people who believe in the Constitution. Now, it's political time. Your president.
But let me answer that, because I was kind of halfway teasing with that. Okay. I want to do what I like doing. Mm-hmm. And if nobody has seen what I do so far, not only do I interview guests for the most part every week on Sundays on Facebook Live, it's from 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but I also, because I do miss writing for television, I love acting. I took an acting class last year. It was on my bucket list of things to do, but I did it undercover as a name because I didn't want to finding out who I was, so that they would treat me fairly. I've already had an experience of how people on the left treat us once they find out. So I kept a low profile. I changed my name. I studied acting. So one of the things that I love doing is doing these comedy bits on my page as well. So if you subscribe to the Sonja Schmidt Show, you'll get notifications and you'll see all those things as they come out. I did one thing where I proved that Alexa was a tool of the left, and, I just hit different topics that are political, but in a comedic way. And I don't think anybody else is doing that. So I think what I want to do is do my own original stuff, and it's evolving. And I'll just do what I feel like doing where the Lord leads me.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about your faith. How long have you been a Christian?
Oh gosh, that was, what, I could say a lot of bad things about my parents, but that's the one smart thing they did is they got me to church. And I naturally love me some Jesus. I always have. That's also in my book. My book is called Miracles, My Adventures in Hollywood and Why I Left the Left. So God has just always been present in my life. And I've always dug the story of Jesus. And I was raised at the time where they were quote unquote Jesus. I mean, still halfway hippie girl. I mean, I was Jesus freaky kind of chick, So I just love the story. And he's so operated in my life that I can't remember a time where I wasn't, where my faith wasn't there. I certainly lived a liberal lifestyle and put it on the back burner from time to time when it suited me. But no, it's always been there, and even more so now. Even more so now, especially because of where this country is. I'm like, oof. I do believe that God has his hand in this country and God loves America. But as I said before, we can turn that all around.
Oh yeah, definitely. What the story I tell about is my grandma down in St. Mary's, Georgia. I called her Mama Gracie, and she took me to church at least 5 days a week, and on a Sunday, and on a Sunday I might have went on a good Sunday I went to church 3 times on a Sunday. Supper, dinner, and then go in some back.
That's right.
Yes, and go in some backwoods church, and she used to read the Bible to me when it was thunderstorming. Oh yeah, when the thunderstorm.
See, I want to be that grandma for my grandson. Yeah, and I am. I take my grandson to church, and my family's from Georgia as well. But
what part?
I think it's our responsibility. My family's from a place called Valdosta, which is, I think, a military-ish town
big
now.
Football team.
Exactly. Yeah. But they're from, even if you go smaller into Valdosta, they're in a little place called Bemis, Georgia, and it's a farm town.
Yeah.
And my uncle, he had a 400, believe this or not, 400-acre tobacco hogs. I forget what else he raised. So he was actually quite prosperous. And I remember, there was separation because of racism, but white men called him Mr. Crawford. That was my mom's maiden name. He had a certain amount of clout because of what he was able to accomplish with that farm. So I always laugh about my background. It's like I've always been bougie.
Well, yeah, you're the same thing with my family down in the South in St. Mary's, Georgia. They were shrimpers and fishermen, and they would have shrimp boats. And my uncle owned 10 shrimp boats, so he was wealthy down there.
Yes, right.
You got 10 shrimp boats, you become wealthy. And
do you think that leads to us being on the right, because we understand that it takes hard work, perseverance, and
yeah, it's one of the things is that where down in the South, my family were Democrats, but they were conservative.
That's a different kind of Democrat in those days.
Yeah, they were conservative. They believe in the gun, right to protection, take care of yourself, get a job, take care of your family, go to church.
That's right.
Had to go to, I would have to. You had to go to church on Sunday. You could not stay in the house.
You had to. There's no choice. And you better dress appropriately as well.
Oh yeah, and so like I said, 3, 4, 5 days a week, I might have went to church. You know what I mean? Sunday school.
That's fantastic.
Choir rehearsal, and you name it, everything.
Usher board.
Steve Harvey said.
I love that.
He talked about going to church every day. And I was one of those kids that growing up going to church every Sunday, 4 or 5 times a week. So that helped me out as a Christian myself, trying to figure out. Yeah, I was a Democrat growing up, but I had to understand that something went wrong. Why is these things happening? Why is our school system so terrible? Why are things so violent? Why, the educational level, 12th grade students graduating from the third, fourth grade reading level. They tell us, oh, support the
Such a
Democrats.
shame.
Yes, support us, keep supporting us. And those Republicans are the evil ones, but you can be controlling Trenton and Newark and Camden and Philadelphia for how many years?
Baltimore,
Baltimore. Yeah,
Baltimore,
yeah,
right.
yeah. Let's talk. Like you said, we talking about the cities. Let's talk about Baltimore. One of the things they talked about how Trump. They said Trump called Baltimore infested. Well, if you look at, I remember with Bernie Sanders. He's a Democrat. What he said about Baltimore, with
Well,
Obama said about Baltimore.
Cummings
Yeah,
said the same thing.
yeah.
He just recently, that film or video just emerged of him saying that it was drug infested, and that people that he knew from children, he could now see them and they're walking around as zombies. The only time that I find that Democrats are honest is when they're asking for more money to throw at a problem that they never really use the money to solve that problem. So he was probably honest at a time where he was trying to gain some sort of either political gain or financial gain. But clearly he didn't do anything about the problem that he was bringing up himself.
Yeah, and
I went to Baltimore 15 years ago, and someone took me there, and this was at least 15 years ago. And I wasn't political at the time. I didn't know anything other than I'm looking at this perfectly cute town. It's so adorable. And all I could think of is, what the heck happened?
yes, yes.
And yes, I've never seen blight. Well, I have seen, because I have relatives that lived in outskirts of Detroit and DC. But this was so cute. And it's like, oh, if I had the money, I would love to buy this whole city and just, And I think that's another thing that is within our spirit on the right, is we see things and we want to enhance it. We want to make it the best it could be. We want to make it beautiful and work. And the left, they just seem to not be able to help ruining things. Something with such potential.
Yeah.
How could you? Because I could see the town was just really adorable, but a mess.
So have you watched the debates lately?
I watch as much as I can stomach.
Yeah.
And yeah, in between, it is the time that I grandmommy, but there's a couple of things that stand out to me. And that's, one is like night one, Delaney, and I'm looking at my notes here. Delaney claimed that Warren and Sanders' economic strategy was fairy tale. And I'm going to dispute that right now, because fairy tales have a happy ending. And nothing that they propose, whether it be the economy, whether it be health care for all, whether it be open borders and us paying the way for illegals from birth to college, that is America unhappily ever after, in my book. I also, night two sort of sealed the deal for me, that like when I was in politics years ago, we were trying to warn people that they were going towards socialism and universal health care and all that. And because they weren't calling it that. They were just going, no, we just want to help people. And, the thing that Democrats do. But now this ragtag group of cavalcade of knuckleheads, they're straight out coming out saying, this is about universal health care. This is about socialism. And it's funny because I think somebody said, oh, the Republicans will come out tomorrow and call us socialists. And I'm like, because you are. Yeah. Because you are socialists. And they're embracing this stuff now. So I think Trump, the interesting thing about, I knew he would drain the swamp, but I didn't know he was going to do it. It seems almost like effortlessly. He has shined the light on such just dysfunction and darkness, and they are running around like rats. And it's amazing to me that he got the squad, he got Cummings, what else did he got Mueller, however, in like a week and a half's time, just by telling the truth.
Yeah. One of the things is that, when I tell people, we watch television and you watch CNN, MSNBC, and the difference in Fox News. When you look at CNN and MSNBC, you think it's a different world. You think the world was coming to an end.
Totally.
You think this country was coming to an end. And how
Totally.
they basically attacked the president. And we talk about the illegal immigration. The media, CNN, MSNBC, the left, never talk about the same situation that was happening in Obama. Obama deported 100,000 people a year. I think more than that. I think he deported over close to 11 million illegal immigrants. So if Obama deported 11 million, where was the protesting there? And the same thing with children being locked up. There were children during Obama time, when he was president, being locked up, taken away from their families. But the press never talked about that. Yeah, the press.
It's so frustrating on our side, but
it's.
What are you going to do? He had the media in his pocket. They were promoting everything they do, as they would have Hillary. I mean, look what illegal tactics they used, thinking that she was going to be the next president. I mean, we know that we're going to not be treated fairly. So we have to be that much more strong, that much more diligent, that much more knowledgeable, that much more aware. Our work is very difficult. It's like being a good parent. If you want to be a good parent, you're not going to be their friend. My kids' parents used to call me, my kids' friends used to call me Sarge. I was a single parent. So I had to mind, I had to do stuff I really didn't want to do, but it was worth it in the long run. And that's how we are as conservatives. If we want this country, we got to roll up our sleeves and do crap that we really don't want to do. We can't watch these shows like yours and mine and others and turn it off and go, boy, was I entertained. You actually have to find something that resonates with you and get out there and contribute. And that could mean giving a donation. It could mean, I need help like you would not believe. I've got 3 different projects going on right now, and there's no way I can do it all. And people will say, you're really courageous. I love what you do. I'm proud of you and all that. But I was like, well, could you do a little bit of research for me or something? Because I'm sinking over here.
So one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to definitely put your website up, and people can.
Oh, good.
We're going to put your website up on the link, and we're going to send this out. So what was it like? Dealing with the whole thing of being a conservative, and now you're in California, right? So
I was in Hollywood. I live right outside of LA right now because I moved. That was one of the things that I was telling you about life changes. I moved the heck out of LA, but I'm about 40 minutes from it, 45 minutes.
So what is it like now? Has things kind of calmed down? Because I remember I went to Irvine.
Worse.
Yeah, I went to Irvine, California, and for working with the Minnie Waters campaign and the Young Kim campaign, they sent us out there, congressional campaign.
Wow.
And and it was one lady. It was a white couple, and they had the daughter outside, and it was passing out literature, and they were like, "Don't come to my neighborhood. I'm gonna call the cops on you." Oh yeah, you support Donald Trump. He's a racist, and
amazing.
And they were like, they were coming at me, and the lady brought her dog out, and she brought her dog out.
Some old Democrat tactics.
And I'm like, and I asked her, well, who's the racist? Who's the racist now?
Who's the racist?
Who's the racist?
You should have that on camera. Did you get that on camera?
No, I was just, I was. But it was like they brought the dog out, and then the girl, and one girl said, their daughter said that they were, as a matter of fact, they were moving out of the area, and the daughter was like, you know what? It's the Republicans' fault for me not hanging around black kids when I was young. I said, no,
wow.
It's your dad's fault. It's your family's fault. It had nothing to do with the Republican Party. It was your parents' fault.
That's hysterical.
And she looked at me, and I said, I gotta go. So we went to the other blocks, but it was serious out there, and racism, does exist, especially with the left. If you don't support,
it does.
If you don't support what they believe in, then the racism comes out. They're cool as
a Tom or what. I've been called so many names. I just did I did a video about that, about the holidays and
Mm-hmm.
how and how racism stems from the left. And I try to illustrate this in a comical and colorful way. But can I just ask you to hold on one second? I've turned back into grandma. I've got a grandbaby who's standing right here.
Oh,
He's
sure,
out of bed.
sure, sure.
What do you want?
Oh, so cute.
Do you know where the Band-Aid is? Can you get it yourself? Do you need me to put it on you? Or can you put it on you? Why don't you get the Band-Aid? I'll put it on you. Go, go, go.
Oh, so cute.
He's supposed to be a
So
bed.
cute. So one of the things, I'm banned from Princeton University. They don't want me on, oh yeah, they don't want me on the university campus.
What'd you do?
No, they
Be
found out.
black and
Yeah,
conservative?
yeah. I was allowed to have a conservative meeting there. Next thing you know, I got a letter persona non grata. Wow. Yeah. I felt.
That's
Oh, yeah, yeah.
crazy.
Persona non
But you
grata.
know what? It's not even, I mean, I think a lot of things are funny that really shouldn't be,
It's
but
sad.
it's really scary.
Yeah.
I think it's beyond that. It reminds me of, I went to LA public school, so I ain't that bright, but it does remind me of stuff that happened in in communist
Yeah.
countries and fascist countries, and that's the first thing they start to take away is your right to speech and changing the language and all the things that the left is doing. We're really heading in that direction. So for you to get
From three colleges, I am banned.
uninvited,
Three colleges.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
three colleges. No one knows that. Yeah, yeah. Ryder College and Mercer County College, where I was at. They didn't like my politics, so the head of the
And they don't see that as racism at all.
no, and no. What happened was the head of the dean at the Kearney campus. She didn't like me, and she didn't like the politics, and she
Don't get in the
and she
camera.
didn't want me on the campus, so she had me banned. So it was one of
Wow.
those things. And she was a black lady, so a Democrat.
Really?
Yes, it's always the liberals. It's always the
It's
Democrats.
always, oh my gosh.
It's always
So
it's the
funny.
Democrats. You would
Of course.
and they figure because something is definitely wrong with this picture, and so hopefully in the 2020 election there will be a reawakening, especially in the African American. Do you see that on Facebook and with other friends, a reawakening of African Americans supporting
So much
President Trump?
so that that's what encouraged me to get back in it.
Hmm.
Because, like I said, when I started, you could count black conservatives by the hand, on my hand, the ones that were out front. And then I don't know that I had any followers
Hmm.
who were. And now, if I decided to add every black conservative, Republican, Christian Republic, whatever, I couldn't keep up with them at this point. Couldn't keep up. They're just, it's a flood. It's an absolute flood. So I'm really curious to, so I see why the Democrats are fighting so hard
Hmm.
to keep that black vote, because they are leaving.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah,
absolutely leaving.
yeah. Well, I'm not going to keep you. I know you got your grandson around there somewhere.
I just put a Band-Aid on his head and told him to get lost. So we'll see. He was trying to peek in the camera. His mom refuses to let him get into the camera. Both my kids were in show business.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, in fact, so when I was young, I was a dancer, and then I became a TV writer producer. My older daughter is a TV writer producer, and my younger daughter was a dancer, and now she turned into a costumer, and they're working on the same TV show together. But
Mm-hmm.
because of because of her, she was in the business starting with commercials and acting and stuff by when she was 8. She wants her kid to have nothing, and everybody, they see this kid, they go, he should be a model, he should be in television. She won't let him have anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. So I was like, okay, I gotta keep him out of the camera and put a Band-Aid on him and send him to bed.
There's some questions that people wanted to ask you. I know Anwar asked you.
Send it in.
Anwar wanted to know what was it like working for In Living Color?
One of my favorite shows. First of all, Keenan was great. He was just a wonderful boss. He wasn't too, he was just cool. He was just like really cool. And I have to say, it was probably the most talented people I've ever worked. I mean, this is like my first job. I'm sitting at the writer's table. We're doing a read through, and there's Jim Carrey there's Jamie Foxx, there's David Allen Greer, I mean, it's like, it was insane. People who I was a fan of. And now I'm having to write stuff that, it gets put in their mouth. One of the characters that David Allen Greer used to do was Al Sharpton. And and so I got to play on camera. We did a spoof called Al Sharpton, and he did a singing thing, and I was one of the Sharpettes. So I was in the background, because I told you I had a dance background. So I was in the background being Al Sharpton's backup doo-wop group. And then I remember one time I wrote a sketch, or somebody wrote a sketch with Al Sharpton and Al Sharpton's wife. And we hadn't cast that part yet, so they let me do it. And so I got to play, and I had to do the voice just like Al. That guttural, yeah. It was so much fun. So I had the most fun, and it was where I met my first Republican, and I didn't know who he was at the time. But he was a guy named Greg the Hillbilly Fields. He wrote a movie with Rodney Dangerfield called Back to School. He's one of the funniest, most generous, most wonderful men I have ever met. And we had a lot in common. I had more so in common. This guy wore shorts, a T-shirt, and a Santa Anita racetrack hat to work every day. Nothing of Hollywood was this guy.
Oh, okay.
But I bonded with him because I was in my 30s when I came to Hollywood. I was around normal people my whole life. I was a mom who taught mom values to my kid, and now I'm in Hollywood. So the only person who I related to was Greg the Hillbilly Fields. And then he said, which I understand now as a Republican, he hired me from show to show to show based on merit. He said, before I met you, talking about me, I didn't know women could write a hard joke. Now, that's not sexist at all, because I've worked on many shows, and I haven't met women who can write a hard joke. It's not a great job for women. It's like being in a men's locker room. And if you're uncomfortable with that, it's not your place to be. But based on my merit, he hired me from show to show to show. He also, being that Republican, if my kids called and they were a little sick or whatever, he'd go, get the hell out, go home, get out of here. He had a real love for parenting, and he just and every summer he would go away and he goes, I'm going to take the kids to America. And I said, where are you going? He's from Kentucky. He's from Kentucky coal mining. And he says, I'm taking the kids back home to America. And I knew exactly what he was talking about, even though I didn't know that I was a Republican or any of that stuff. So that's my In Living Color story. I was jazzed about doing it. And then that's where I met my first Republican, who was probably more influential in the long run for me being a Republican than I ever knew that he would be.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I just want to say I thank you for coming on to the show. You're welcome to come on anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime you want something to say, talk about, you're welcome to come on. We're going to send this out to people from all over the state of New Jersey and Pennsylvania and other groups. And, one of the things I miss about California is I wanted to say I interviewed Tom Mesereau, Michael Jackson's lawyer there. Yeah, he was Tom Mesereau, Michael Jackson's lawyer. He was Bill Cosby's lawyer, so it's, I can't wait to get back there. But, it's exciting, and I just want to say it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on.
And will you come on my show so you can talk about the launch of your thing?
Yes, definitely. It's definitely. I would love to come on your show. And, talk about some things, because it needs to be talked about from conservatives, especially African Americans that are conservative, about, how do they see this whole political campaign? How do they view us, the president, Donald Trump, who's doing a great job? How in politics as a whole, what's happening from our perspective?
Right.
And, a lot of us, we're not all liberals, and we're not leftists, and, we do support conservative values, Christian values. We all, and that's one of the problems that I am seeing from a younger generation that you have a younger generation out there that's not even going to church.
Right, they're so nihilistic.
Don't believe in God, and when they politics, they're using violence more than ever before. And so, that's something that we're definitely going to have to talk about. And
Definitely. I'm so concerned about the upcoming generation. And then in California, what they're doing to even younger children, the left is indoctrinating them into this. That's a whole nother subject that we'll talk about when you get on my show. This is the project that I'm working on I have such I don't know, a passion for. But
well, one of
yeah,
the
I'd love to
things
have you on to talk
with
about that.
California and New Jersey is so unique is that they now have the transgender law bill.
That's exactly what
We
I'm
had
talking. So it's out there too.
we had a rally in New Jersey and in Trenton at the State House. That now be able to teach transgender gay and lesbian history.
Were you a part of that rally by any
Yeah,
chance?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Can we talk later about that?
Sure,
Because I need help.
definitely.
Okay. I don't know how to do any of this, but I want to.
Yeah, Man and Woman Up for Christ rally, and it was a great rally, and and people are definitely starting to speak out about what's really happening. They're definitely.
Good.
All right.
I want to bring that message into the inner city because I don't know that they know that this is getting ready to come down the pike as hard as it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I definitely
Okay,
will have you on again, support what you're supporting, and some other topics. And listen, I thank you for being on. It's been a blessing. I'm excited.
More than welcome.
I have a beautiful, intelligent sister like yourself.
Oh, shucks.
You're awesome. You're awesome, Sonja. And God has blessed you with 2 children, grandson, and and strong faith, and beauty, and intelligence, and
I'm so silly. I've got the sense of humor. I always say I got a sense of humor of a 10-year-old boy. Once you get to know me, you'll go, oh my gosh, she's out there. But yeah, I was really blessed, and it allowed me to raise my kids and afford to do so. So I feel like at least I can give back.
And you got more to give. You got a lot.
Absolutely.
You got a lot more to give.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I thank you for coming on. This is Sonja Schmidt. She has a Sonja Schmidt show on Facebook Live. And
Sundays.
Sunday. What time Sunday?
It's 10 o'clock Eastern time, and then I repost. So go on Sonja Schmidt page, the Sonja Schmidt Show page on Facebook, and just like it, click subscribe or whatever it is, notifications, and you'll know when the show's on. That's all you got to do.
All right. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. God bless and be safe. And
thank
I will
you.
talk to you.
Same to you.
All right.
Okay,
take care.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Again.
Hey everybody, this is your host Daryl M.Brooks. I'd like to thank Sonja Schmidt for watching, and those who are watching the show. This has been a blessed day for me, and I'm excited. And let me tell you about the OnFireNewsNetwork.com, www.onfirenewsnetwork.com. And we're doing some exciting things, and we're going to also, if you would like to support the show, support the Facebook Live. You can support the donations. We need donations for this website, and we're just trying to make things happening. I got Michael Rectenwall. I have Sonja Schmidt. I have other individuals who are a part of the show, who's going to be a part of the news network. And so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. If you go to www.onfirenewsnetwork.com, you get to check out some of the individuals that are playing a major part in the On Fire News Network. And we got who else? My main man, who is the web guy, Thomas Roberts. He is my main man. I got to give him a call. I've been so busy, but I got to give him a call because we're going to do some great things in the Delaware Valley, people. We're going to do some awesome things in the Delaware Valley. That's South Jersey, Delaware, and Philadelphia. It's going to be exciting. I just got the business cards done, and we're going to listen. We need support. We need donations. Please give what you can. And we're going to talk about a lot of different conservative, independent issues. We're going to have also got Lynn Washington. He is a writer. John Robert Carmen from the Constitutional Republicans of New Jersey. He is going to be doing a column. Seth Grossman, he ran for congressman, South Jersey, Atlanta. He's part of the Atlantic City area. So he's going to be doing some writing and editorials. You know, it's exciting. The On Fire News Network. I'm kind of hot. It is hot here. So, you know, God bless. I'd like to thank you all for watching. And remember, Martin Luther King said it best. He said that we're all caught up in this great, inescapable network of mutuality, tied in the single garment of destiny. And whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And that I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be unless I am what I ought to be. Then he quotes the poet John Donne and says, no man is an island, every man is a piece of the continental part of the main. Then he goes on to say that any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind. Therefore, never send to know whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Thank you. God bless for watching. Peace. I'm out. I got to get out of these clothes. It's hot. Thank you. And we got to go watch the debate. All right. Take care. God bless.